Hey, what's up, God's people and fellow ambassadors? Welcome back to the Ambassadors channel. Where here it is all about motivating you, the people of God, to be true disciples of Jesus Christ. If this is your first time tuning in, I want to say thank you very much for doing so. Do me a favor, watch this video all the way to the end. Don't forget to hit that like, share, and subscribe button, as well as go back, check out some of my previous videos in the past. All right, so today I'm going to continue on with Mercies, talking about the mercy of God and how merciful God is. It's just something I wanted to do something else. I really did, but it's just been on me to kind of admire the mercies of God, and I say mercies deliberately because He has been merciful to us. From generation to generation, from day in to day out, God continued to show His mercy towards us. Sometimes we don't recognize it. Sometimes we don't recognize it or give Him credit for His mercy that He has bestowed upon us. And so today I'm going to read Romans chapter 12 and verse 1. First, I'm going to look at the King James Version. I am a King James Version kind of guy, so that's why we're going to go there. So let's take a look at King James right quick. So Romans chapter 12 verse 1 says, I beseech you therefore, brethren, by the mercies of God, that you present your bodies a living sacrifice, wholly acceptable unto God, which is your reasonable service. Now we're going to take a look at the ASV, that's the American Standard Version. It's very close to the King James. I just found it out, really. So here it is. It says, I beseech you therefore, brethren, by the mercies of God, to present your bodies a living sacrifice, holy, acceptable to God, which is your spiritual service. So Romans chapter 12 verse 1 says, I beseech you therefore, by the mercies of God. Let's stop right there. He said, by the mercies of God. And what he's really saying here is, when we take a look at God's mercy and how merciful He has been to us, he said that is enough for us to consider God's goodness, and that is enough for us to consider the way we're living our life. That's what he's saying. He says, I beseech you therefore, brethren, brothers and sisters, in the Lord, that you present your bodies a living sacrifice, holy and acceptable unto God, which is our reasonable sacrifice. In other words, again, and let me point this out. He did not say by the mercy of God, singular. He said by the mercies of God. That means God has been good to us over and 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 over again. He's been merciful to us, the just as well as the unjust. If God was not merciful to us, none of us would be saved today. None of us would be here talking about God in the way that we do. It's because of His mercies that we're able to speak and communicate to others about His mercies. If He was not merciful, if His interest was more so about judgment and punishment and things like that, then there would be no talk about His mercy. So the very fact that we're here, and us, believers, non-believers, knowing ourselves that we're not perfect and have not done everything right, and is not going to ever do everything right, we understand that it's because of His mercies that we're still here. His love that provided mercy and grace for us. Romans chapter 12 and 1 is making that clear to us, that on the basis of His mercies alone, and I'm saying mercies because, again, He's been good to us over and over again. It says, in other words, God has been merciful to us so much that if we were to sit back and consider how merciful He's been, that should be enough for us to commit our life entirely to Him. That should be enough for us to understand how much He loves us, and to the point we are very mindful of what we're putting in our bodies. We're very mindful of what we're feeding our mind. We're very mindful of what we're doing. Let's take a look at the scripture again. Let's go to the ASV, American Standard Version, very close to King James Version, at least this particular passage of scripture. It says, I beseech you therefore, brethren, by the mercies of God, to present your bodies a living sacrifice, holy and acceptable unto God. In other words, the things that we're using our bodies to do, the things that we are engaging in, the Bible said that our body is a living temple. The Spirit of God dwelleth in us. It dwelleth in this in this bodily form that is a temple. It is a temple unto the holy God. So he's saying, I beseech you therefore, be careful of how you handle your body. Be careful of what you're putting in your body. Be careful of where you're going. Be careful of how you're handling this temple, because it is a temple of God. Be reminded. Be reminded that God is merciful. He's merciful to us. But guess what? That mercy, God will be merciful from generation to generation. But there's an expiration date in our time here. See, God, the Bible says God is merciful. His mercies endure it forever. But guess what? We would not dwell here on this planet forever. And we don't know when our time, our expiration date is going to be. And so we can't take his mercies for granted. We have to understand that God is merciful, but on the other side of that, there's an expiration date for all human beings, everyone who's breathing the breath of life. And so it behooves us to understand that God's mercies is there for us to get things right. It's there for us to change the way we live in our life. It's there for us to understand that I need to turn to God and commit myself to God more and more and more, because that's God's desire. Desire is not for us to fail. His desire is not for us to spend eternity away from him. His desire is for us to be with him. And so through his love, he has shown and continue to show his mercy and his grace. God bless.